Chapter 1 of The Room in the Dragon Volant. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Elizabeth Klett. The Room in the Dragon Volant by J. Sheridan Le Fanu. Chapter 1 On the Road. In the eventful year 1815 I was exactly 23, and had just succeeded to a very large sum in consols and other securities. The first fall of Napoleon had thrown the continent open to English excursionists, anxious, let us suppose, to improve their minds by foreign travel, and I, the slight check of the 100 days removed by the genius of Wellington on the field of Waterloo, was now added to the philosophic throng. I was posting up to Paris from Brussels, following, I presume, the route that the Allied army had pursued but a few weeks before. More carriages than you could have believed were pursuing the same line. You could not look back or forward without seeing into far perspective the clouds of dust which marked the line of the long series of vehicles. We were perpetually passing relays of return horses, on their way, jaded and dusty, to the inns from which they had been taken. They were arduous times for those patient public servants. The whole world seemed posting up to Paris. I ought to have noted it more particularly, but my head was so full of Paris and the future that I passed the intervening scenery with little patience and less attention. I think, however, that it was about 4 miles to the frontier side of a rather picturesque little town, the name of which, as of many more important places through which I posted in my hurried journey, I forget, and about 2 hours before sunset that we came up with a carriage in distress. It was not quite an upset, but the 2 leaders were lying flat. The booted postilions had got down, and 2 servants, who seemed very much at sea in such matters, were by way of assisting them. A pretty little bonnet and head were popped out of the window of the carriage in distress. Its tournure, and that of the shoulders, that also appeared for a moment, were captivating. I resolved to play the part of a good Samaritan, stopped my chaise, jumped out, and with my servant lent a very willing hand in the emergency. Alas! the lady with the pretty bonnet wore a very thick black veil. I could see nothing but the pattern of the Brussels lace as she drew back. A lean old gentleman almost at the same time stuck his head out of the window. An invalid he seemed, for although the day was hot he wore a black muffler which came up to his ears and nose, quite covering the lower part of his face, an arrangement which he disturbed by pulling it down for a moment, and poured forth a torrent of French thanks as he uncovered his black wig, and gesticulated with grateful animation. One of my very few accomplishments, besides boxing, which was cultivated by all Englishmen of the time, was French, and I replied, I hope, and believe, grammatically. Many bows being exchanged, the old gentleman's head went in again, and the demure, pretty little bonnet once more appeared. The lady must have heard me speak to my servant, for she framed her little speech in such pretty broken English, and in a voice so sweet, that I more than ever cursed the black veil that balked my romantic curiosity. The arms that were emblazoned on the panel were peculiar. I especially remember one device. It was the figure of a stork, painted in carmine, upon what the heralds call a field d'or. The bird was standing upon one leg, and in the other claw held a stone. This is, I believe, the emblem of vigilance. Its oddity struck me, and remained impressed upon my memory. There were supporters besides, but I forget what they were. The courtly manners of these people, the style of their servants, the elegance of their travelling carriage, and the supporters to their arms, satisfied me that they were noble. The lady, you may be sure, was not the less interesting on that account. What a fascination a title exercises upon the imagination! I do not mean on that of snobs or moral flunkies. Superiority of rank has a powerful and genuine influence in love. The idea of superior refinement is associated with it. The careless notice of the squire tells more upon the heart of the pretty milkmaid than years of honest Dobbin's manly devotion, and so on and up. It is an unjust world. But in this case there was something more. I was conscious of being good-looking, I really believe I was, and there could be no mistake about my being nearly 6 feet high. Why need this lady have thanked me? Had not her husband, for such I assumed him to be,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?